So wait, you told me to do this before the start of this one, so I already have a load
You have
test
already
written.
done that? Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Then in that case, let
I
me
don't know if it's
stop my
all
screen
correct,
share.
but
Yes,
yeah.
let's check that.
Okay.
Okay. Share your screen. Let's have a look at that. Load test.
Let me see the correct one here. It was so confusing bouncing back and forth. No, that's not the right one.
Mhm.
Between everything. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Okay. So let's go back to the third group. I started off small because
Mhm.
I just started off small and I was like, I can change this one later if we want to change this one. So for my HTTP request,
Mhm.
it was a post, so I did it post. These were the body details. I did client D because that was the first one I saw that had an invalid one, and this one is checking for invalid
Okay.
um, ones. Um, Localhost, there was the rest of the stuff. It was
All right.
HTTP, not HTTPS, so I left that blank. It was the regular port number, so I left that blank. I just started with a basic, I should get a 200 response, and then I
Mhm.
have my view tree. I can clear this one out. So then when I run it,
It's gonna take some time.
yeah, it's really slow. But here's what I get. So I don't know if it was exactly what you wanted, but it does work. And then I also tried running it from because I know you're not supposed to do load testing from the interface, you're supposed to do it from the command
CLI.
prompt. So I did. I don't know how well that worked. Here was my actual command for that one.
Mhm. Okay. You can verify this by loading the result from the CSV file and opening it in one of the listeners, like the summary listener or the view result tree listener, and then you can see all of your test results.
Okay, let's
Yes.
see. Um, this was what
So
got
that's
created.
the dashboard what was created. Open the dashboard. Let's have a look at it. Index
This
dot.
one?
Yes, that's the one. Okay. All right. So the average is like 5 seconds it's taking, minimum, maximum. If you see here, this one is taking like 5 seconds to generate the result. All right, so I do want you to write some load test. A few more things in that load test I want you to do. Um, Let me write it down for you what I'm looking for. Okay.
Okay.
If you can please stop your screen share, I will let you know what I'm looking for. All right. So let me reshare my screen. So here's what I'm looking for. One is I want you to test for different clients. So when the client A is passed, the response that should return back is 200. And the same thing for client B, C, D, and client C. Okay.
Okay.
And for client X, it should return back the response code as 404.
Okay.
Additionally, I want you to do this, say restrict one processor core on the machine and the number of users, so say cores and users, processor cores. So let's say when the processor core is say 1, I want to test for say 1 user. And then with 2 cores, I want to test for say 10 users. And with 3 cores, I wanted to, not 3 actually, 4 cores. We want to test for say twice that, say 25 users. Now, while doing this testing, I also want you to record the following data. Record average response times, average, minimum, maximum, and 99 percentile and 95 percentile. Okay. Also, the error rate and the throughput. So these are the additional things I want you to keep a record of. So this is something which I have observed during EasyCorp testing that was happening, wherein we were sharing this data with the customers in terms of like, if I have one core and the number of users say is one, then what are the response times? What is the error rate and what is the throughput? Then when we increase the number of cores from from one to say two, and increase the number of users, and again, what are these metrics? Once more, when we increase the number of cores, then what are the metrics for 25 users in that scenario? So like that, we did testing for 8 cores and 16 cores as well, but we will skip 8 and 16 cores and we will restrict this to 1, 2, and 4 cores. The reason why we need this data is later on, after making optimizations, after making changes to our application, we want to compare this so that we know if there is improvements or not, right? So we need to go ahead and collect this particular data by doing a load test before we make any optimizations. So after the load test, we identify the problem using the profiler, and then we go ahead and fix the issues. Then once again, we do the load testing to see if there is an improvement in the performance or not. Okay, so these are the things that I want you to do. Test for all of this data, and these are the different scenarios where we want to go ahead and test. Now, how do we restrict the course? Now, there are two ways of doing it. One is you can do it if it is, say, Hyper-V. We can right click the server and go to settings, and then we can specify how many cores we are looking for. Since this virtual machine is running, I cannot edit it. I'll have to right click and shut it down first. After I shut down it, I can go ahead and change these settings in terms of memory that was allocated to it and the number of processors that are assigned to this VM. Now, this is when you are testing it in Hyper-V. But let's say your test setup is in Azure, then how do we do the restrictions in terms of the number of processors and the number of cores? So in order to do that, you will basically use one utility from Windows. So you go to run command and type here msconfig and say OK. And then on this msconfig, there is a tab here. Let me minimize this. Okay, there's a tab here called as boot. You click on advanced, and now from here we can specify how many processors we want to give to this particular system. So here I can give a maximum of 12. So I can choose from here, say 2, and then click OK, and I'll have to restart my whole system after doing it. So when you are in Azure and you want to do this kind of testing, then this is the utility that you will use for restricting the number of cores on your system for doing this testing. Am I making sense here?
I think so. msconfig and then boot tab.
And then click on advanced. And then we have to select this and specify how many cores we want to utilize.
Okay.
All right. So this you have to do it when you are doing the testing for a customer. When you have the test environment set up in Azure, then you can go ahead and do this. There are other tools also available online that can be used for this purpose. One of these is the built-in Windows utility. So I'm going to cancel this because right now I have everything in the virtual machine. So if I have to do it in the VM, I can right click the virtual machine, go to settings, and then change the number of cores here. But for that, the virtual machine needs to be shut down first. Is this clear?
I think so. Can you go to the requirements that you want one more time?
Yes. Here's my requirements.
Thank you. Okie dokie.
I'll be here on call if you need any assistance, if you need to recall certain concepts, I can help you out with that. But I want you to try it out most of the things on your own. But if you need any help, don't hesitate to ask.
Okie dokie. So, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Do you want me to share this in chat?
No, I screenshotted it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna stop my screen share for now. I'll let you write the test. Let's finish the test for the first two scenarios, and then I'll review it.
The first two scenarios?
Yeah, the 1 core and the 2 core.
Oh, okay. Okay, I think I have my whole test written. I need to change the number of processors, but then I have one clarification question, maybe two.
Okay.
Okay, so for the things that we want to record, those things get recorded when we run it from command line and then save it to like the report that I pulled up.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Then that's good to go. Okay, I think that's it then. I just need to change the number of processors to run everything. But I wanted to finish writing it first. Let me make sure I've saved this 600 times. Save, save, save. Do you want me to run it with the different processors and then just pull up the results and we can look at them, or do you want to see it while I'm running them?
I want to see how you wrote the test script once
Okay.
before you go ahead and run it. Yeah.
Okay. Then let me share this. We can get rid of that. We can get rid of that. Okay. I need to.
I want to see that JMeter script that you created. Yeah.
Wait, you want me to change the number of cores first, or do you just want to look at it now?
Just show me the JMeter script first.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Um, all right. Let's do one thing. I
Okay.
also have this same script. I mean, I also have a script for the same test. I
Mm-hmm.
would want to walk you through it so that you understand how I implemented it, right? There is a different way of implementing this. I would want you to understand that particular approach. What you did is doing the job. It can also be done in an alternate way, and I will walk you through that.
Do you mean with like a data set configuration?
Yes,
Okay,
that
yeah,
is.
yeah, I thought about doing both ways. I had done this one and I was like,
Mhm.
this will do it, so I'm not sure. I was like, I'm not sure if it really matters, but I did think about doing it that way as well because we looked at that one. I don't remember what day we looked at that one, but we looked at doing that configuration.
Okay.
Is that the way you would prefer it done?
Yes.
Okay, well then give
That
me
is
one more minute here.
one addition I want you to do. And then there are few more things I want you to think about what more we can change in this particular script and do it in an alternate and more maintainable way,
Okay,
apart from CSV dataset.
okay, let me make a note here. Okay, I think I know what you mean.
Mhm.
Okay, all right, and give me one more second here.
Sure. If you're talking, I can't hear you.
I am not talking.
Okay. I can see where you're going with this, and you're almost there. What I was looking for as the script, a few more tweaks, and you will be able to achieve that script.
Okay. So you just want me to keep going, right?
Yeah, sure. Uh, think about this aspect. I'll give you a hint. Um, like you have this thread group, correct? Can you go to the thread group? The thread group. Yes. So this thread group currently works for one user, right? Let's say I want to change it from one user to 25 users later on. Then every time I'll have to come and edit my thread group, right? I'll have to go ahead and modify my thread group before I can run this particular script. So is there an alternate way I can write this script in such a manner that I don't have to change this number of users in the thread group?
That I'm not sure about. Give me a second. I'm
Okay,
gonna think in Ginder Gander.
sure, no problem.
Okay, I think I need to clarify what you're asking for. You're saying you don't want to change the number of threads in a thread group. So do you want that to be determined by how many pieces of test data you have?
Okay, can you stop your screen share?
Yeah.
I'll share my screen and let me share that script with you. Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, so we have our test plan, and inside the test plan, you can create your variables. Here, there are 3 variables: protocol, IP, and path. That is the test path. And then we have the CSV config that is mapping to the data.csv file that contains that client ID and the expected response codes. So the one that you have seen here, these. Then would create different thread groups for different number of users, because the number of users is specified using the thread groups. So here, one thread group for one user with a sampler, but all of these sampler values are picked from the variables. Even the client ID will come from the CSV config file. Then a separate thread group for 10 users. So I can go ahead and have a separate thread group for 10 users, and again, a sampler in that particular thread group, and one more thread group for 25 users. So again, one sampler for that. So what the way I would create these thread groups, it's quite simple. You can just right click and say duplicate, and then change this, say, from 25 to say 100 users, the name as well as this. So this way you'll be able to go ahead and create more than one thread group for representing different number of users for different scenarios that you have to test for. And the listeners, you can add it to your test, because again, the listeners and the CSV dataset config, they basically are scoped. So if I add it to my test plan, they will be applicable to all the thread groups within my test plan. Same goes for my assertion here. Now, when I have to run for one user, I can just right click this thread group and enable it. And the other one, I can right click and disable it. So this way, I just have to go ahead and enable and disable my thread groups. I don't have to reconfigure them once again. So let's say I want to run it for 100 users. I can just right click and say enable and disable the other one and run my tests. This is one way of doing it. There is also a possibility of uh, changing which thread group to run from the CLI itself, but for that we will have to write some scripts. We have some preprocessors. If we go here to preprocessors, we have a preprocessor that we can use, which can execute some script and choose whether to run the thread group or not. So that is also one more possibility, such that I can just run it completely from command line without even having to open it in the user interface. But we are not exploring this preprocessor as part of our training, but that's also an option. Are you able to understand like how the configuration I was hoping for?
Yes.
Okay. And does this make sense, this
Yes.
configuration? Okay.
Hmm.
All right. So um, we'll wrap this session for today here. And I do want you to run it for those number of use cases that we have here, the three use cases that we have. I believe you already have for 1, 2, and 10, and make a spreadsheet using Google Sheets. This is to make you familiar with the process that you do it in real time. Like we do this for our customers where we record this information and then we share it with them, saying when we perform this test for 2 codes with these many number of users, these are the metrics that we received, so that they can choose in case if they want to go for more codes, right? If they want to upgrade their servers, they can also choose that. Okay. For tomorrow, I do have a homework as well. Um, we have here a form. So if you go to this one, there is a flow. This one, we run it. There is this form. I want you to write a load test for this form such that when I go ahead and select this insurance provider here, it should populate medical and vision in this dropdown. Similarly, if I go ahead and choose, say, dental time, then it should simply show over here dental as the claim type.
Okay. You
Yeah,
want that in JMeter?
not JMeter. This will be using Playwright and Artillery.
Okay. I have a lot of actual like worky work, so I'm not sure if
Mm-hmm.
I'll have time to do all of this by tomorrow, but I will do my best.
Sure, no problem. So
Okay.
if you're unable to complete it, then you can do it in the session. And if you need help, I'll assist you. Yeah, so that's there.
Okay.
And also, yeah, let's see about tomorrow, like how it goes. If you are able to do this, then we can discuss some other concepts. Otherwise, we will be doing this particular load testing. Okay.
Okay, sounds good.
All right. So thank you for joining for today, and we will connect tomorrow for the session.
Okay, great. See you tomorrow.
Thank you. Now, before we go ahead and use BlazeMeter, let's first understand how BlazeMeter is helpful to me. So if we go to that website that we have tested in the beginning, and if we right click and say view page, not page source, right click and say inspect, where is it? Inspect element. And then we go to network tab. I'm going to once again go ahead and send the request to this particular page. So when we send a request to this page, we are basically getting a bunch of other files apart from this particular HTML page. So let's say I want to go ahead and record multiple requests that are being sent by this particular web page, and also any AJAX requests that are going on behind the scenes. For example, there is this one, this AJAX request that is being performed. If I want to record that as part of my test, and there may be more than one AJAX request going on over here, uh, doing this work manually, it's gonna be a time-consuming process. To avoid that, what we can do is we can take help of tools which can record the user interaction in the browser. Similar to what we have seen with Playwright, there was a tool called as CodeGen, if you remember. That tool was recording the user interaction and generating the Playwright script for that test. Similar to that, in JMeter, we have test script recorder, and also there is a browser extension called as Blazemeter that I can use to auto generate the scripts for my load test, which will include all of these background requests that are being performed by my application. Now, in order to do that, what we need is we need to first install this extension. So in order to install this extension, we can go to the extensions in the browser and click on Manage Extensions. And then we go to the Chrome Dev Store. And then from here, we can look for Blazemeter. And then click on it and add it to the browser. I've already done it on my system, and it's here in the extensions list. I've also pinned it, so you're also able to see that red color icon here. Okay, so once you install it, you will be able to see this particular icon appearing, and then we can go ahead and record our interactions just like what we did with the CodeGen in Playwright. And this time, these actions will be resulting in generation of JMeter scripts, or it can also generate Selenium scripts just in case if you want to uh, go ahead and use Selenium as your automation testing framework. Is this clear till here?
So far.
Okay, all right. Now, when you install this extension, you will have to go ahead and register with blazemeter.com. I've already registered it, so you're able to see my name over here. If you do not register with Blazemeter, it allows you to generate the scripts for Selenium, but not for JMeter. So registration is mandatory if we want to go ahead and use the JMeter script. So I already did it for my account, and now I can use this particular extension to record the scripts. All right. So once you add that, here's how we use this particular tool. So first thing, we go to the extension. We give this recording a name. So this will be the test script name as well as the test plan name. So you can go ahead and give it a name saying that I want this particular name to be, say, demo blaze test. Next, there is an advanced option over here that allows you to choose what kind of agent you want these requests to be recorded for. It's my current browser. Any request that we want to filter out, we can specify over here. Next, if you want to disable the browser caching, we can select this. Now, one thing that is important is I want to record Ajax actions. So I will go ahead and keep this selected so that I can record the Ajax options. Any Ajax requests that are being made from my application, they will also be recorded as an HTTP sampler. Then we also have an important setting over here to randomize the think times. So it basically uses the uniform random timer. So if we select this, all of our samples will have a random time for to simulate the think time for the users. Next, we can select, do we want to record the top level statements, or we want to go ahead and record, say, maybe the calls to the images, JavaScript files, CSS, cookies, so on and so forth. So let's say I want to only record the top level statements. So I'll just go ahead and say only top level statements, but it also includes any Ajax requests that are happening behind the scenes. Lastly, in case if you're generating any Selenium test scripts for automation testing, if you want to export the IDs for various elements in a page, we can select this. Since we will not be touching upon Selenium, I'll be leaving this as it is. Any questions?
No.
All right. So in order to start the recording, we first go ahead and click on Start Recording. Now you can see that it has started recording. So we'll go ahead and access the page demoblaze.com. And if we see the extension, it has recorded one test with this particular name. This name will be used for a transaction controller, which now has 3 requests. So I can go ahead and change its name if I want to, say landing page. Oops, I should have pressed enter. Landing. There. I can add the next step. For example, the next step is browse phones. So I can go ahead and add a step here. Say browse phones. Browse phones. Click the add step button. Phones. It's acting up. No, I'll go once again with this recording. It's actually stuck.
Oh.
Yes. Yes, it is stuck. So no problem. We'll go ahead and start it again. Demo Blaze test. So let's go ahead and access the first page. I have few requests here. Say landing page. And then we'll give a name, say phones. Say add. Now it's added. We'll click on phones. Now it's recording the request for the phones. And then I'll say one more test for say Samsung Galaxy and say add. And then for this currently active test controller, I can just go ahead and record the samplers for it by simply interacting with my page. So if I interact with my page, now I have the required samples recorded here. Once I'm done, I'll click on stop recording. So this blink basically indicates that the recording has stopped. Now I can save this particular recording by clicking this save icon over here. You have multiple options, whether you want to go with JMeter or you want only the Selenium scripts. You can just go ahead and choose Selenium if you want. And then again, you get the option to choose different languages and frameworks for running these Selenium tests. I'll just select JMeter. And then it also gives me the list of all the domains to which it has made the request. So while recording whatever request that was sent to different domains, it will show the names of those domains here. And then we click on save. So this is done, downloaded. Now I have a JMX file. I can now open it from my desktop in JMeter to have a look at what I got. All right. So now if we go ahead and say open and go to the downloads folder, Demo Blaze, that's the name. Here it is. Actually, it's this one. So now if we expand it, no, not that one. What was the name that I gave? Let me verify. Demo Blaze Test, that's the name. No. Where did it go? Do you see the name?
Let me see. I do not.
Oh, here it is. There. No, it's the failed one again. Demo Blaze. Where is it? 3.5 KB. It's not recorded then. Okay, let's start one more time. So that's my homepage. I'm not gonna give them proper names this time. Test one, then say phones and say test two. Sometimes it does fails to generate the proper scripts. So I'm just redoing the recording and hopefully this time I should have it. So save JMeter and save. See, this time it's 40.8 KB and it's recorded properly. So we go to, this is the one. All right. So what we have here is an HTTP header manager for sending out the HTTP headers. Then we have user defined variables. So it's basically recording my base URLs here. Then the defaults for the HTTP requests, a DNS cache manager for recording the DNS details, and an authorization manager for the authorization details like usernames and passwords. And then a cookie manager, which basically stores the cookies, and a cache manager for the static resources so that they can be cached. Then we have thread groups. So there are 3 thread groups that were created based on that step names that we have. There are different thread groups that are generated. Oh, sorry, not the thread groups. Actually, these are the transaction controllers. Inside the transaction controllers, we will have all of our requests recorded as part of that transaction. Again, if we expand this, there is one request for this one. And if I expand this, there are multiple requests for this one. So all of these requests are now recorded, and I can play this out by adding, say, a listener, say view result tree, and another listener, a summary report. So let me go ahead and click the play button. So it's generating the samples for each one of these requests. Let's say I don't want these samples to be generated like that. They should be basically grouped based on these transaction names that are generated here. So in order to do that, I can simply click on the transaction controller and select this checkbox. Same thing I'm gonna do for the other two. Save it, clear out everything, and once again, run it. So as you can see now, it's only recording my transactions from the transaction controller. There it is. One more thing, the names of these requests, they're basically based on the URLs. Let's say you don't want these URLs to be named like that. All of these requests are sequentially recorded, and I want them to be named based on this transaction controller. All I have to do is right click and choose this apply naming policy, and it will go ahead and name them sequentially test 1, 2, 3, 4 based on this transaction controller. So this is how we can auto generate the scripts for JMeter with the help of this extension called as Blaze Meter. Any questions?
I don't think so.
Okay. I want you to try this out. So I'm going to stop my screen share and I'll let you give it a try. And if you have any questions, you can let me know.
Okay.
All right. All right. So the next thing that I want you to do today is collect the profiler for the dashboards that we have, the forms that we have, and the API that we have, so that we can understand the problem. And from tomorrow's onwards, we will be discussing about various solutions on fixing these problems. So the next task that I have for you today is go ahead and collect the profiler data and identify the issues with respect to the dashboards. And there are two dashboards, and then one API, and then one form.
Okay, wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. Two dashboards, one API, and one form.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Once again, I don't remember what we typed in. I'm going to share so that I
Mhm.
could go to the decisions and turn it on. I know I need to go to like systems or settings or something, but I could not remember what I needed to.
Services. That's
Services.
services.
Gosh darn it.
Yes.
My brain remembered an S. Okay.
All right.
So for the profiler,
Mhm.
my thought is to do those as separate profiling sessions. Is that what you would recommend?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
For each one of them, do a separate profiling session. In the production, during the load test, we usually keep the profiler off. So that's also one thing that I wanted you to be aware of. So when you are doing any load testing, make sure that the decisions profiler is not running, and the global debugger also should not be running when we do the load testing. So these are two important things that consume some resources in the background and may
Mm,
not give us accurate results.
okay. But right now you only want the profiler profiling
Yes.
session. Okay, perfect.
Yes.
Okay. I can do that.
It's going to record all of these activities, I believe. Oh, okay, you're starting it.
Okay, so this is one and then the validation history is the other, right? You have them tabbed.
Yes.
Okay. Mm.
Is our normal 5 milliseconds okay?
Yes, that should be fine.
Okay, perfect.
You can test it by clicking the test button there. It does have an option to do a post request. Or the postman is also fine. It's a slow API. It will take some time to respond. So I believe the user interface freezes during that time. Okay, so it's also erroring out because of a memory issue. Not enough memory. I think you're running it from inside the VM. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I've been on mute. I'm so silly. Yeah, do you want to see what I've got? What
Okay.
you pulled? I was sorry. I was like, why isn't he answering me? Oh, golly. It's a very Monday. Okay. Let me
Uh,
see here.
so it's basically erroring out because of the limited memory this virtual machine has.
Mm-hmm.
One way you can run it is by increasing the amount of memory this VM has. Another way is run it out from outside of the VM, the browser, because browser itself also consumes some memory, and we have two browser windows that are open. Okay, so right click the VM and go to settings. It's click on memory. Yeah, it's 4 GB that was assigned to it. So we'll have to first stop the VM and then turn
I've
off.
never known. Turn off or shut down. Okay.
Yes, turn off. And then go to settings again. Memory, and now you'll have to increase it from 4096 to something more. But before you do that, verify if you have sufficient memory to allocate on your host machine. You can check it from the task manager. Okay, I believe you have sufficient memory. It's like 54 GB percent is used. So can you click on the performance here? There is a tab. Yeah,
One of these.
yes, the second one. Let's see, it's like 8 GB. So you should be able to give it one more GB, I believe. Yes. 1.5 GB should also be fine. That's gonna be like 5.5 GB. I'll have to calculate.
Okay.
1024 multiplied by 5.5. That's like 5632. Say okay, and then start again.
Oh. Oh my goodness.
And just for the purpose of this one, use a single browser window. I mean, a single browser instead of running two different browsers. Just use a single browser, and you can just open two tabs in it, because that's like 500. I mean, 200 MB or something. That is the response size that is gonna come back. I believe SQL Server is not running. Um, in the services only, just go ahead and look for SQL Server and start it.
Oh.
Not this one. SQL Server. Yes. Yes, it's delete SQL MS SQL Server. Just right click and start it once. Yep. We don't need the management studio, you can close it.
Hmm.
Decisions.
Oh, already starting. There's no way that I can see that it's running, right? Like there's not like a
No.
something. Okay.
There's no way. For that, we will have to use Postman. And SSMS once again started in your taskbar.
Ah,
Oh, it's crashing again because of memory. Okay. All right. So I believe you will need Postman to run this test. Otherwise, go ahead and do it using the debugger. That should also be fine. You can directly debug the flow rather than running it as an integration.
do I remember how to get into the global debugger?
No, we can just debug it from here itself. Oh, it's taking too long.
I thought it was supposed to take long.
Yes, it does, but it's taking longer than that I have expected it to. There are 2 million records, I believe.
Oh my goodness. But I guess it makes sense why it wasn't. I
Mhm.
put, you know. Well, no. That's just nope. I thought I put in something weird, but it would have weirded out for the fetch entities, not for the rule collection.
Yes. It was supposed to take around 20 to 30 seconds. That's what it takes on my machine when I run it. Um, but I believe due to the resources that are assigned to this VM, like I have assigned 8 GB of RAM and then 6 cores. So I'm able to get the response much quicker. Now it's done. Finally.
Okay. And now I can. Okay.
All right. So here's the task that I have for you. From
Uh-huh.
these profilers that you have collected, I want you to just list out what are the issues that you uh, see in the profile.txt, and then we will talk about fixing those issues one by one in our upcoming sessions.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. Do you want me to do it right now, this very second?
You can do it after the call. I do have another call with Blake and AJ, so I'll let you go
Oh,
early today.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Well, good luck.
thank you.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.